Hi, thanks for joining me with another video at Get Electronic. Thanks for your feedback on our last video for the 1KZ ECU. You requested to see more what goes on inside of the ECU and how we actually come to fix these problematic systems. So join me with the journey on this one. Bit of insight on this baby here. So customer sent this unit to Get Electronic with a immobilizer failure, okay, and there's a little bit of an ant infestation inside of it, got underneath and did some track damage. This particular engine ECU has a lot of common issues, spanning from 2008 to 2011 from the Hiace, and it's a 2 TRFE engine. Enjoy the video and thanks for watching. Alright, here we are, the top view of this ECU. I'm going to get it quickly x-rayed to see what's underneath the connector, just at that particular point where the red dots lines are. I can't see any track damage. I can't see what's going on because of those pins are in the way. So the connector comes out. Let's remove that connector. Here's another shot of the side of it. And look at that. There's all the damage. Can't see any physical track damage, but the next shot after this we should see some damage. Here we go, severe stitching. And look at that. It's a 4-layer board. I'm kind of concerned about that veer, so I'm just sending it off to X-ray. We're going to get comparison of side to side here. There we go, red dots, the red lines indicate where I thought there might be an issue, but there's not, so that's all looking healthy. And there we have the fault for the immobilizer. Broken track. Just read the lines in there, red lines, just indicating where that track damage is. And we're going to clean this up with a fiberglass pen. Bit of IPA for lubrication and to stop the fiberglass fibers from going everywhere. Last thing you want is that to go in your finger. It takes ages and it's not very healthy, so use a bit of IPA to clean it all up. It was interesting to see those veers earlier. I was a little bit concerned to see a lot of blackening around, but cross-sectional X-ray showed us pretty healthy, and it's good to see that that track up the top there is a separate, a severed trackwork failure. Bit of scalpel work there to clean up the rest. More IPA. It's always best if you be very thorough in finding any track damage. It's a lot of work to take a connector off, and if we were to miss one, it's detrimental, and you must see every single piece. So no matter what it takes a lot of time to do this job, so you might as well do it very thoroughly. The great tool is that fiberglass pen. We do use it almost every day. I'll scrub up this part here that we got that imaged. It's pretty cool. We've got a side-by-side comparison, and the where the flood plane isn't available there, and you shine a light through it, you can see some of the track work. So it's pretty cool to have both of those imaged side by side. And there's our track that we have damaged, and now we're going to repair this track. So join me under the microscope again. So we're going to just make sure we have a clean copper slate to work on. So what's the green stuff? That's the solder mask. It prevents solder from sticking to it during the manufacturing process when it goes over a wave solder or any soldering. It's an insulative material that goes over the top that's silk screened. A bit of flux down there, and I'm going to use a bit of wire to actually join these two sections of track and make it straight as possible and beautiful. Here we go. Bit of tinning. Actually have a bit of problems getting this wire beautifully down. I feel there's a bit of a drag on the end of there, so I'm going to take it off and recut it so it's nice and straight. Yeah. Just like that. Track work is pretty cool. It's very satisfying when you see lots of broken tracks and whatnot, especially when it's cap damage or excess current going through a track. There's lots of reasons, of course. Water damage, cap damage, excess current. All fixed the same way, of course. Just scrape the top layer off and lay your new track down, and away you go. Just cutting the very top half of that off and then just fatiguing that wire off. So I'm not cutting all the way down because that'll be pretty bad. Bit more cleaning, and I'll get a shot of what that looks like in a second. There we go, all done. That's our one track. Alrighty, connector back on, but first of all we're going to make sure those holes are clear. So basically a little bit of flux, and we've got to make sure every single hole is clear of any debris or excess solder. If there's any excess solder, you're going to have problems getting that connector laid in, and you'll see towards the end of the video when I'm placing this connector, it's a very troublesome task, especially with multiple pins. I have no idea how many pins are on this ECU. I don't bother counting them. I just got a job to do and make it happen as beautifully and neat as possible, and as fast as possible. I don't need to spend time trying to count how many pins I'm taking in and out. Just get on with the job. There we go, nicely cleaned up. There's only 2 that I missed, basically in that run. So time to clean it up. More IPA, and then we'll get on with placing the connector down. Probably the connector placement on multi-pin packages is probably the most time-consuming process, and it's like if there was a brand new connector, it would just pop in straight away. All the leads are bent to the right tolerances, and they'll just slot in. But unfortunately, this connector is actually taken off a donor PCB board that's been water damaged and was beyond repair. Like I said, these ECUs have a lot of problems. Just going to make sure all the pins are straight enough to line in. They don't all have to be straight. You can pop them in with tweezers as you go by, but they're all going to be relatively straight. Sorry my head gets in the shot here and you see my grey hairs, but it's a lot of daffing around trying to get all these pins straight and into the actual the holes. It's a real time consuming process, this. I see I've got a bent pin. I just need to bend that slightly back just with my tweezers. I'll try that again. Huge thank you again for watching this video as well. A little behind the scenes, if you like, of what we do every day. Not everything can be fixed, of course, but we give it a bloody good shot. Electronics is electronics as well. Doesn't matter what it is. This customer called us up with this fault, and of course we'll take it on and see if we can get it fixed, and looks like we did see a failure. Did try to cheat and get it imaged and see if I could see a fault before we took off the connector, but nah. So off we go and see how we get on. Yeah, looks like this one should be a success for repair, especially with that absolutely defined track. Carefully placing this connector in. There's no point in rushing this process. If you're trying to rush it, you'd just be more pins and you'd be back to the start again. And again, sorry for my head. I'm gonna keep in mind not to have my fat head in the way. Couple adjustments here with the tweezers, making sure they're all in place. There was a plastic retaining clip at the bottom there, but that's been removed. That all gets melted off. It's quite a nice looking board, these. You see here, I just got these 2 here just to place in, lift up, push in, and then move on. Next pins. It even gets more intense when you absolutely have to make sure every single pin is actually placed in. Because if you miss one, you're absolutely buggered. And if you start soldering it, it's even worse. Once you start soldering it, you must be committed and everything must be perfect. It's quite interesting, the connector removal and the replacement. It takes longer than actually doing the repair itself in this case. It's actually true for a couple of other jobs that actually getting into the module takes longer than the actual repair itself. Probably think of a couple of things. A couple of dash clusters are probably the most culprits. Dash clusters and some engine ECUs. Actually, some Mercedes engine ECUs are pretty bad to get into, but the repairs aren't that bad, like CAN bus transceivers and whatnot. Actually, Volkswagen. Volkswagen ECUs are probably on. It depends. I feel a processor swap is quite easy on those compared to opening some of them up. Alright, so I've got it in position and I'm just screwing the connector in because I'm just holding this by my hand, so I need to absolutely make sure every single pin is terminated in correctly in the hole. And so I'm going to just do a self-idiot check with my tweezers and absolutely make sure every single one of those pins are intact. Full concentration, make sure every single one is in. Right, bit of a close-up here. Some of them can be deceptive, like where the different reflections are, and it's you just got to do a double take and make sure every single pin is in. Can't stress that enough. If you start soldering it and you get to the last pin and like, oh shit, that one isn't poking through and it's buried in, and it's done. You got to take that connector off again. This actually connector worked out pretty well for being a complete water damaged connector. You can get away with actually pushing down the pins a little bit more, being an open hole, so one or two of the power rail lines were actually eaten away, but it made full contact as soon as you push them back down again. Alrighty, soldering in connector. Last part. Bit of flux on there. I'm not even preheating the board because it's only 4-layer board and not much thermal taken, so it's fine. Just waiting for the heat to soak in and run the iron across. It's pretty simple. I actually have to swap tips later on to get into the pins in the center of the connector, because I can't completely just drag across. It's got some weird configuration. It doesn't matter. You've got a tip for that. So and it actually looks quite beautiful towards the end anyway, so that's fine. It can be quite deceptive as well with all the fluxes going on, so you just clean it and recheck. I won't bore you with the whole soldering process here. It's soldering a connector. I look a bit more clunkier doing this because the camera's right over view and I'm trying to not get my head in the way. Yes. Hopefully you guys are actually enjoying what we're doing here. It's really interesting stuff, working on repairing electronics that shouldn't be repaired. OEMs just want you to throw away and buy a new one. Or in some cases you can't buy a new one, so you have to get them fixed, or we could actually fix this ECU quicker than a new ECU being supplied anyway, so that worked out quite well. Not sure what I'm pissing around there for. I'm probably changing the temp settings there. A bit of drag soldering there. It's probably the only bit of drag soldering I get to do on this connector because the pins are all offset and skew whiffed, it's not as easy as just the full drag solder, which is the ultimate sort of soldering going on. After this, obviously, we'll clean it all up and inspect to make sure every single joint is terminated. Right, moving on to the next video. Here we go, making sure every single piece is soldered and making sure I haven't missed anything. And have we missed something? It's a little bit too much zoom here, so you're not really being able to see much. Oh, there we go, missed one. Alright, so if we miss one and we send it back, obviously that system isn't going to work, so that'll be a complete waste of time and it'll be a minimum charge. So got to make sure we are completely thorough with absolutely everything that we do. Alright, and that was just the one. Not bad. It's quite beautiful. Alrighty, this is the end result. Beautiful. All conformal coated, ready to be sent back to the customer. Thanks for watching.